You were not born to quit. You were not born to settle. You were born to conquer, to overcome, to rise, to win. No matter what life throws at you, setbacks, pain, betrayal, poverty, you were designed for more. I don't care how dark your past is, how hard your present feels, or how uncertain your future looks. There is a fire in you that can't be extinguished. You got to stop living like you're ordinary when you were born extraordinary. Stop walking like you're average when you were born to conquer. Every champion has scars. Every warrior has wounds. But what separates them is they never gave up. And neither will you. Don't you let fear write your story. Don't let pain steal your power. You might be tired, but you're not done. You might be broken, but you're not finished. You might have lost battles, but you haven't lost the war. Rise up. Because you weren't born to survive. You were born to conquer. Before you can conquer anything in this life, whether it's a goal, a dream, a challenge, or even the world itself, you must first conquer the voice inside of you that keeps telling you that you're not enough. That voice is louder than any critic you'll ever meet. It's more persistent than any hater you'll ever face. It's in your head, and it knows exactly what to say to stop you from stepping into your greatness. That voice whispers doubts, plants fear, and reminds you of every mistake you ever made. And if you don't silence it, it will run your life. You'll walk around with dreams in your heart, but chains on your soul. You'll talk about what you could have been, should have done, and would have achieved if only that voice hadn't talked you out of it. That voice didn't come from nowhere. It was built over time through rejection, through failure, through trauma, through every time someone told you you weren't good enough and you believed them. Every time life knocked you down and you stayed down. That voice got louder. It learned your weaknesses. It memorized your pain. And now it speaks to you in moments of decision. When opportunity knocks, that voice says, you're not ready. When it's time to take a leap of faith, that voice says, oh, we're not qualified. When your moment arrives, that voice says, you'll mess it up. And if you listen, you'll hesitate. You'll shrink. You'll sabotage your own progress because you're more afraid of failing than you are hungry for winning. But I came to tell you, you were not born to be silent, to be timid, or to be shackled by insecurity. You were born to conquer, and that conquest starts within. You've got to talk back to that voice. You've got to confront it with truth. When it tells you you're not smart enough, remind it of your wisdom. When it says you're not strong enough, remind it of everything you've survived. When it says you'll never make it, remind it of the God who brought you this far. You've got to change the narrative that's been looping in your mind. Because as long as you believe that voice, you'll act like it's true. And when you act like it's true, you'll live like it's true, even when it's a lie. That's the real battlefield, not outside in the world, but inside in your mind. The enemy doesn't need to destroy your opportunity if he can destroy your confidence. He doesn't have to steal your dreams if he can steal your belief. That's why you got to go to war every day, not with people, not with situations, but with the thoughts that try to convince you you're not enough. You've got to armor up with faith. You've got to walk into your day with a mindset that says, I was built for this. Because you weren't. You weren't given breath just to exist. You weren't placed on this earth to live small. You've got greatness in you. You've got purpose in your DNA, but you'll never activate it if you keep allowing that inner critic to be the loudest voice in the room. So start paying attention to what you say to yourself, because your life will follow your language. If you keep saying, I can't, you won't. If you keep saying, I always fail, then you'll find ways to prove it. But if you start declaring, I'm more than a conqueror, I'm equipped for this, I'm made to win, then slowly that voice inside will lose its grip. It won't disappear overnight. It'll fight back. It'll remind you of your past, try to drag you back into fear. But don't give in. Keep speaking truth until that voice gets quiet. Keep walking forward even when you're scared. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to keep going despite it. People think conquering is about beating others. No, true conquest starts when you win the battle against yourself. When you stop letting insecurity dictate your choices. When you stop letting fear steer the wheel. When you stop waiting for someone to validate your dreams and start chasing them like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your legacy, your impact, your calling, they're all tied to you defeating the inner critic. And that's the most important victory you'll ever win. You know what's crazy? You could have all the talent in the world, all the resources, all the opportunity, but if you don't conquer the inner critic, you'll still play small. Because it's not about what you have, it's about what you believe. There are people with less talent than you who are winning, not because they're better, but because they believe. And there are people with more talent than you who are losing, not because they lack skill, but because they listen to that inner critic. You gotta decide, which one will you be? You got to reprogram your mind, feed it with truths, surround yourself with people who speak life into you. Read books, listen to messages, get in environments that remind you who you are. And when that critic shows up anywhere, you'll be ready. You won't fold, you won't flinch. You'll say, not today. I've come too far to stop now. Because every day you conquer that voice, you grow stronger. Every time you choose faith over fear, your confidence rises. And before long, that critic that used to dominate your thoughts, it becomes background noise. You hear it, but you don't obey it. You recognize it, but you don't believe it. And that's when the game changes. That's when you start walking different, talking different, dreaming bigger. That's when you stop surviving and start conquering. But it all starts with you, not with the world, not with your circumstances, with you. You gotta fight for your mind like your life depends on, because it does. Your future is on the other side of that internal victory. Your purpose is tied to your ability to overcome that self-doubt. Don't wait, don't delay. Don't listen to that voice for one more second. You were born to conquer, and conquering starts here. Now, inside, take control of your thoughts. Rewrite the narrative, declare the truth, and watch your whole life begin to rise. Because the most powerful person is not the one who controls the world. It's the one who controls their own mind. Be that person. Be the conqueror you were born to be. You don't need perfect conditions to do something great. You just need unshakable faith. That's the real truth most people don't want to accept. Because if you're waiting for everything to be lined up just right, for the timing to be convenient, for the money to be enough, for the fear to be gone, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. The world doesn't hand out perfect conditions. Life doesn't come with ideal setups. And the truth is, if you're truly called to do something, if you were born to conquer, then it's your responsibility to move forward regardless of what the circumstances look like. People talk about being ready. But let me ask you, who defines readiness? Because if you look at every great person who ever did anything meaningful, you'll notice a pattern. They didn't feel ready either. They weren't walking into perfect scenarios. They were walking into storms, stepping into the unknown, trusting something deeper than what they could see. And what was that thing? Faith. The unshakable belief that even though the mountain is big, the God in them is bigger. Even though the odds are stacked, their will stronger. Even though the path is unclear, their purpose is solid. That's what faith is. It's not a feeling, it's a decision. It's saying, I will move forward anyway. Because let's be real, if you needed perfect conditions, you'd never start. There's always going to be something missing. There's always going to be something that looks like a disadvantage. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's support. Maybe it's experience. But if you can't move forward with what you have, then you'll never move forward at all. You got to learn how to take that little bit of belief, that little bit of hope, that little bit of strength, and go anyway. Faith isn't waiting for proof. Faith is moving before the proof shows up. Faith is walking into the fire and saying, even if I get burned, I won't bow. Faith is what separates the dreamers from the doers. You see, people often confuse faith with fantasy. Fantasy says everything will magically work out. But faith says, even if it doesn't work the way I want, I'm still going to give it everything I've got. Faith doesn't make it easy. It makes it possible. And when you walk by faith, you don't need applause. You don't need applause. You don't need permission. And you definitely don't need the conditions to be perfect. All you need is conviction. You need to know why you're doing what you're doing. You need to know what's at stake if you don't move. And you need to believe that your purpose is greater than your problems. Think about it. Every invention, every movement, every revolution started with someone who said, I believe. That's it. They didn't know how it would all work out. They didn't have all the answers. But they had that fire, that spark, that inner voice that said to go. And they listened to it. That's faith. It's not loud. It's not flashy. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it feels like you're walking blindfolded. But even then, it's powerful. Because when you move by faith, you're aligning with something higher than fear. You're operating from vision, not circumstance. Some of you are stuck right now because you're waiting for certainty. You're waiting for the right moment. But there's no perfect moment. There's only now. There's only this moment. And what you do with this moment determines everything. If you keep waiting, you'll wake up years from now with regret instead of results. You'll look back and wonder why you never tried. And that's a pain you don't want to live with. So stop looking for signs and start building with what you got. Use your faith as your foundation. Build when it's hard. Move when it's uncomfortable. Show up when it feels like nothing is working, because that's what conquerors do. They don't wait for conditions, they create momentum. You've got to understand that progress doesn't come from perfection. It comes from persistence. And persistence is powered by faith. You're not always going to see the full picture. Sometimes all you'll have is the next step. But if you can trust that step, if you can take it without knowing what's next, you'll start to see doors open. You'll start to see opportunities arise. Not because the conditions change, but because you did. Faith changes you. It shifts your posture. It shifts your mindset. It makes you bolder, stronger, more resilient. And when you change, your world changes. The enemy doesn't want you to walk in faith because faith unlocks your potential. Faith takes you from average to exceptional, from fearful to fearless, from hesitant to power. That's why everything around you tries to shake it. That's why the conditions always look rough, because the test isn't about what's happening outside of you. It's about what's happening inside of you. Will you believe even when it's hard? Will you move even when you're scared? Will you stay the course even when it feels like nothing's working? That's what faith asks of you. And if you answer with obedience and action, you will see results. Faith also means being okay with looking crazy. Some of the greatest things you'll ever do won't make sense to people. They'll doubt you. They'll question you. They'll say you're unrealistic. But that's okay. They don't see what you see. They weren't given your vision. You've got to stop needing validation from people who don't understand your calling. Stop waiting for others to believe in you before you believe in yourself. The path of a conqueror is often lonely, but it's always worth it. Because once you walk through that storm, once you reach that goal, once you see the reward on the other side of the risk, then it all makes sense. You got to wake up every day and remind yourself, I don't need perfect conditions. I need unshakable faith. That means faith that doesn't waver when things go wrong. Faith that doesn't quit when it gets hard. Faith that holds on when the results are slow. Faith that says, I don't see the fruit yet, but I'm still going to water the seed. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains. That's the kind of faith that makes the impossible possible. That's the kind of faith you need if you're serious about conquering. So today, make a decision, a real one. Decide that you're done waiting for the perfect time. Decide that you're done looking at what you don't have. Decide that from now on, your faith will lead the way. Not fear, not doubt, not excuses, faith. Because when you let faith lead, there's nothing you can't overcome. There's nothing you can't create. There's nothing you can't rise above. You weren't born to play it safe. You weren't born to sit on the sideline. You were born to conquer. And conquerors don't wait for perfect. They move with purpose, powered by unshakable faith. Every setback you face is not the end of your story. It's the setup for your comeback. It doesn't matter what knocked you down, what broke your heart, what didn't work out, or who walked away. It doesn't matter how many times you failed, how bad it hurt, or how long you stayed stuck. What matters is that the story isn't over. What matters is that there is still breath in your lungs and purpose in your spirit. You might feel like you've lost everything. But what if I told you that everything you lost was only clearing the way for something greater? What if the setback was necessary to unlock a version of you that comfort never could? People think setbacks are punishments, but they're really just positioning. They're realignment tools. Sometimes life has to shake you, break you, strip you, and humble you, not to harm you, but to prepare you, to wake you up, to force you to grow, to bring out the conqueror within. Because as long as things are easy, as long as everything's going your way, you don't tap into your full potential. You don't stretch, you don't evolve. But when you get hit, when you get pushed, when you get disappointed, that's when something shifts. That's when you dig deep and discover who you really are. You see, setbacks have a way of refining your character. They reveal what's fake and what's real. They test your patience, your grit, your mindset, your commitment. Anybody can smile when things are good, but it's how you respond when they fall apart that defines you. The setback is not the enemy, it's the mirror. It shows you where you're at. It shows you how much fight you've got. It shows you if you really want it or just like the idea of it. Most people quit in the face of setbacks because they don't understand this. The pain is part of the process. You can't get the prize without the pressure. You can't reach the mountaintop without going through the climb. You might feel like you're in the valley right now, like the world is against you, like no matter how hard you try, nothing's working, but I need you to hear me. The valley is not your prison, it's your training ground. This is where warriors are made. This is where character is forged. This is where the fake falls away and the real rises up. You don't get stronger without resistance. You don't get wiser without mistakes. You don't get faith without facing storms. And you don't become a conqueror without being conquered first. But here's the good news. You're still here. That means it's not over. That means there's still more inside you. That means you still have a shot to turn the page, to rise from the ashes, to rewrite the ending. Your setback might have delayed you, but it didn't destroy you. It might have wounded you, but it didn't wipe you out. You're still breathing. You're still fighting. And if you've still got fight in you, then there's still victory in front of you. What separates the ones who bounce back from the ones who stay broken isn't luck or talent or connections, it's resilience. It's the mindset that says, I might be down, but I'm not out. I might have lost this round, but I'm still in ring. You gotta make that decision. You gotta look your pain in the face and say, you will not define me. You will not stop me. You will not steal my future. The greatest people in history weren't the ones who had perfect journeys. They were the ones who came back stronger after every loss. They didn't fold under pressure. They rose through it. Because every setback carries within it a lesson, a seed, a gift. But you only get the gift if you don't give up. You only get the reward if you keep going. The comeback is reserved for those who refuse to let the loss be the final chapter. So don't let the pain paralyze you. Let it push you. Let it teach you. Let it elevate you. Let it open doors in your soul that success never could. Because you'll learn more in your valley than you ever will on your mountaintop. You'll learn who you can trust. You'll learn how to depend on your faith. You'll learn that your worth was never tied to what you lost. You don't have to pretend it didn't hurt. You don't have to act like you're okay when you're not. But you do have to decide that your pain won't have the final say. You have to decide that the fire won't burn you. It'll build you. That the storm won't drown you. It'll shape you. That the loss won't break you. It'll bless you. Because the same thing that tried to bury you is going to be the foundation you stand on when you rise. The same people who counted you out will have to watch you come back stronger, wiser, more focused, more dangerous. You got to look at the setback and say a thank you. Because without it, you wouldn't have found the warrior inside. Without it, you wouldn't have discovered your resilience. Without it, you wouldn't have been forced to rebuild on a stronger foundation. Sometimes the very thing you thought would destroy you is the exact thing that sets you free. But you've got to shift your perspective. You've got to stop seeing it as failure and start seeing it as fuel. Stop seeing it as the end and start seeing it as the beginning of your next level. Don't waste your pain. Don't waste your fall. Use it. Let it remind you what you're fighting for. Let it stir up your hunger. Let it light a fire in you so hot that nothing can stop your ride. Because a comeback doesn't happen by accident. It's a decision. It's the moment you stop blaming and start building. It's the moment you stop crying and start climbing. It's the moment you say, this will not be my story. And from that moment forward, everything changes. You got to get back up. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You've got to get your mind back in the game. You've got to silence the voice that said, it's too late, and replace it with one that said, my best is still ahead. Because the truth is, your comeback can be bigger than your setback if your faith is stronger than your fear. You don't need everything to be perfect. You just need to believe that what's coming is greater than what was lost. So keep pushing, keep grinding, keep believing. Don't let the pain make you bitter. Let it make you better. Don't let the hurt shut you down. Let it wake you up. Don't let the fall stop you. Let it fuel you. Because you were not born to stay down. You were not born to lose hope. You were born to conquer. And this setback is just part of the story. It's just the fire before the glory, the silence before the song, the night before the sunrise. It's not the end. It's the setup for your greatest comeback. Yeah, keep moving, keep fighting. Your rise is coming. You were built for the fight. That's something you need to understand deep in your soul, because life will test you. It will throw punches that you never saw coming. It will take things you thought you couldn't live without. It will challenge everything you believe, break down what you built, and stretch you beyond your limits. But guess what? You're still standing. You're still breathing. You're still here. And that's not by accident. It's because something inside of you is stronger than anything life can throw at you. You may not always feel powerful. You may not always feel strong. But feelings don't determine truth. Reality does. And the reality is, you were not made to break. You were made to fight. You were built with resilience in your blood, determination in your bones, and fire in your spirit. You gotta stop looking at adversity like it's some kind of mistake. It's not. Adversity is the training ground. It's the forge. It's the process that activates what's already inside of you. You don't need more talent. You don't need more resources. You don't need more luck. You just need to realize who you are and what you're made of. You're not fragile. You're not soft. You're not weak. You are forged by fire. You are the result of pressure, pain, and perseverance. That means every battle you face isn't something to fear. It's something to conquer. When lions wake up in the morning, they don't run from the hunt. They run toward it. They don't look for comfort. They look for challenge. Why? Because it's who they are. And you've got to realize that you got that same spirit inside of you. But somewhere along the line, life tried to tame you. It tried to tell you to sit down, to be quiet, to play it safe. Tried to convince you that you weren't capable, that you weren't worthy, that you weren't enough. But none of that is true. That's fear talking. That's trauma talking. That's disappointment talking. But your true self, the warrior within, is still alive. It's just waiting for you to wake it up. The fight isn't just outside of you. It's inside. It's the battle between fear and faith, between quitting and persevering, between settling and striving. Every day, you got to choose which side you're going to feed. Are you going to feed the fear that says you can't do this? Or are you going to feed the faith that says you were born for this? Are you going to believe the voice that says you're not strong enough? Or are you going to rise up and declare, I am more than enough? The choice is yours, and you got to make that choice daily, sometimes hourly. Sometimes hour doesn't stop. But neither should you. You got to embrace the fight. Stop avoiding difficulty. Stop running from resistance. Stop waiting for the easy route. There's no easy route. There's only forward. There's only through. Champions aren't made by dodging hardship. They're made by walking into it head first. They're made by choosing to get back up every time they fall. They're made by turning pain into power, fear into fuel, and wounds into wisdom. That's how greatness is forged. Not in comfort, but in conflict. So don't pray for a lighter load. Build a stronger back. Don't ask for fewer problems. Grow bigger shoulder. Because if you're constantly wishing for life to be easier, you'll never grow into the person who can handle more. Some of you are waiting for the fight to end so you can start living. But what if the fight is the very thing preparing you to live at the level you've been dreaming about? What if the struggle is shaping you into the version of yourself that can carry the blessing, handle the pressure, and lead with power? You gotta stop seeing the fight as something negative. It's not punishment, it's preparation. It's not rejection, it's redirection. Every time you face resistance, it's life asking you, how bad do you want it? And every time you push through, you're answering that question with action. You got to develop what I call warrior reflex. That means when life hits you, your instinct isn't to panic. It's to punch back. It's to adjust, to adapt, to overcome. It's to rise, not retreat. That doesn't mean you won't cry. That doesn't mean you won't feel pain. That doesn't mean it won't be hard. It just means you don't let that pain stop your purpose. You don't let those tears drown your destiny. You don't let the hard times define your future. Because deep down, you know, you were built for this. And let's be clear, being built for the fight doesn't mean you have to do it alone. Warriors still need rest. They still need strategy. They still need support. Being strong doesn't mean you're never vulnerable. It means you know when to stand tall and when to lean on someone else. It means you're aware of your limits, but you don't let them define you. It means you surround yourself with people who sharpen you, not people who soften you. Not people who soften you. Because iron sharpens iron, and if you're going to win the battles ahead, you need to stay sharp. The problem is too many people lose the fight not because they're weak, but because they forgot who they are. They get caught up in comparison. They look at what everyone else is doing, achieving, building, and they start doubting themselves. But you weren't built to copy. You weren't built to chase someone else's dream. You were built to fight your own battles, walk your own path, and win your own wars. So stop trying to be someone else's version of success. Stop measuring your worth by someone else's highlight reel. You're not them, you're you. And who you are is more than enough. There's greatness in your DNA. There's victory in your veins. But it won't come alive until you step into the fight. You gotta stop running from the very thing that's trying to shape you. Pain is not the enemy. Resistance is your downfall. They're both working for you. They're both training you. They're both refining you. Every struggle is strengthening something within you. Your patience, your endurance, your humility, your fire. And one day when you look back, you won't resent the fight. You'll respect it. Because it didn't break you, it built you. So wherever you are right now, whatever battle you're facing, whatever storm you're in, I need you to look in the mirror and remind yourself, I was built for this. This moment, this season, this test, it's not here to destroy me. It's here to develop me. I might be tired, but I'm not done. I might be hurting, but I'm not hopeless. I might be pressed, but I'm not crushed. Because inside of me is a strength I haven't even tapped into yet. Inside of me is a fight that's just getting started. And no matter how many times life tries to knock me out, I will keep getting up. Because I was built for the fight. I was born for this. And I will not stop until I win. Legacy over lights. That's not just a catchy phrase. It's a mindset, a lifestyle, a calling. We live in a time where validation is currency, where approval from strangers has become more important than approval from self, where likes, shares, and followers dictate value, where people are building identities based on applause, not on purpose. But the truth is, you weren't created for popularity. You were created for impact. You weren't put on this earth to be light. You were placed here to leave a legacy, a mark, a difference, something that lasts longer than your name trending for a day. Because likes fade, but legacy lives on. You've got to understand that the applause of people is temporary. One day they love you, the next day forget you. One moment they cheer for you, and the next moment they scroll past you. That's the nature of chasing attention. It never satisfies. It's a moving target. The moment you think you've caught it, it moves again. And if your worth is tied to that chase, you'll exalt yourself trying to be what everyone else wants you to be. You'll bend your identity to fit someone else's image. You'll dilute your voice just to be accepted. And worst of all, you'll sacrifice your calling just to be seen. But your purpose is too great to be silenced by public opinion. Your mission is too important to be measured by metrics. Legacy is about building something that matters even when nobody's watching. It's about staying true to your values even when it's not popular. It's about doing the right thing even when it's the hard thing. And the reality is, if you're serious about legacy, you've got to stop living for approval and start living for alignment. Alignment with your vision. Alignment with your values. Alignment with your creator. Alignment with your creator. That's where real power lives, not in being faithful. Some of the most impactful people in history weren't popular in their lifetime. They weren't getting likes. They weren't being celebrated. Many were rejected, misunderstood, even hated. But they didn't let that stop them. Why? Because they were legacy-minded. They understood that the seeds they planted would grow long after they were gone. They weren't building for the moment. They were building for the future. And that's the kind of mindset you need if you're going to rise to your potential. Stop asking, how many people saw it? Start asking, did I stay true to who I am? Stop worrying about how many followers you have. Start focusing on how many lives you've touched. Because legacy isn't loud, it's not flashy, it's not built on platforms, it's built on platform, it's built on consistency, on quiet discipline, on integrity behind closed doors. It's about how you treat people who can do nothing for you. It's about what you do when no one is clapping. It's about choosing character over clout, truth over trend, impact over image. That's what separates the conquerors from the crowd. That's what elevates a life from success to significance. And if you want to live that kind of life, you got to make peace with not being understood. You've got to be okay with walking alone. You got to stop performing and start planning. There's a reason why oak trees last centuries and flowers fade in days. One is built deep, the other is built for display. If all you care about is looking good, being liked, yet staying relevant, you'll be gone as fast as you came. But if you build your life on truth, on purpose, on values that last, you'll stand the test of time. Your name might not trend, but your influence will live. Because legacy isn't about being known by many. It's about being remembered by the few who were changed by your presence. You got to ask yourself, what am I building? Are you building a brand? Or are you building a body of work? Are you chasing attention, or are you creating impact? Are you trying to impress, or are you trying to inspire? Because those are two very different roads. One burns out, the other builds up. One is exhausting, the other is empowering. You weren't born to fit into someone else's mold. You were born to break the mold, to disrupt, to challenge, to elevate. But you can't do that if you're living for likes. Because likes will have you chasing relevance. Legacy will have you chasing purpose. And let me be real with you. Legacy takes time. It's not overnight. You're not going to see the results immediately. That's why so many people give up. Because it's easier to go viral than it is to go deep. It's easier to be seen than it is to be significant. But easy never built anything worth remembering. You got to be willing to play the long game, to invest in your growth, to endure the seasons of obscurity. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is build in silence. Sometimes the greatest movements begin in the shadows. And if you can stay committed in the dark, you'll shine brighter when the time is right. You don't have to post everything you do. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't need a camera to capture your greatness. Because the real proof is in the lives you change, the pain you heal, the truth you speak, and the love you give. That's legacy. It's the kind of wealth you can't deposit in a bank. It's the kind of success that doesn't need a stage. It's the kind of influence that moves people, not just emotionally, but spiritually. So stop living to be noticed. Start living to be needed. Stop trying to impress the world. Start trying to impact your world, your family, your community, the people who cross your path every day. The ones who will remember how you made them feel, not how many likes your photo got. Because at the end of your life, you won't care how many followers you had. You'll care about the difference you made, the love you gave, the faith you walked in, the purpose you fulfilled. Legacy over likes means showing up even when no one says thank you. It means doing your best work even when no one sees it. It means choosing excellence when average would be easier. It means speaking truth even when it's not popular. It means refusing to sell your soul for applause. It means living in such a way that when you're gone, your presence is still felt. Your voice is still heard. Your example is still followed. You got to decide what kind of life you want to live. One that gets claps or one that gets results. One that's driven by ego or one that's anchored in purpose. One that rises and falls with trends or one that stands the test of time. It's your choice. But make no mistake, only one of those lives leads to peace. Only one of those lives leaves a mark. Only one of those lives honors the calling on your life. So today, make this shift from performance to purpose, from fame to faithfulness, from being seen to being significant. Choose to live for what lasts. Choose to be remembered not for what you had, to who you were. Choose to pour into something bigger than you. Choose to build a legacy because the likes may stop coming. The applause may fade. The spotlight may dim, but the impact, that never dies.